Okay, the strongest 2-minute opening in Ashes of the Singularity Escalation. So I've got 9 experiments. I'm going to start by telling you the 2 strongest and just, give you the important info right away, tell you how to achieve their build order. I'll go over the tiniest bit of detail about the experimental framework of these 9 experiments, give you a little bit of boring or interesting graphs which compare the outcomes, and then following on this presentation is footage of all the experiments. So that's 9 experiments, about 2 minutes each, but I sped them up 2x, so that's 9 minutes of source footage after this. Alright, the strongest openings. Scenario 3, where drone 1 started with the central metal extractors, built a factory, then continued to build 2 more of the central metal extractors. Excuse me, while drone 2 built 1 of the central metal extractors when it came out, then moved on to the expansion to build all those metals there. Scenario 6, drone 1 built the expansion metals first, then moved on to build the expansion rad. And then drone 2 immediately set to work on the factory when it came out and then built out the central metals. Both of these at the 2-minute mark had over 500 power, 2 generators captured, and either their metals or their rads were about to really start streaming in. So when we get to the graphs later, scenario 3 and 6 are about to have one of these 2 really blow up. Alright, so this is kind of the experimental framework. If you're still listening, here's all the details. Alright, the scenario is that I'm trying to capture the 2 nearest power generators. I'm not trying to go more than that. Like, I had to constrain myself, try and keep things a little bit more balanced and equal. One of them was metal with 4 extractors. One of them was a rad with 2 extractors. The desire, like what I'm hoping to achieve here, is to find the most efficient opening sequence which maximizes both power and either metal or radioactive extraction. And then my assumptions, while as I went into this, I was thinking the double capture is probably the most powerful, sending your first drone out to your nearby point and capturing that generator while building an extractor is probably the strongest opening. Whether you wanted rad or metal, just choose that and go for it. So that's what I thought going into this. Okay, these are the order that they play in the ensuing footage, the proof of these experiments themselves. So number 1, strong opening, no radiation coming in, no radioactives coming in. Number 2, not worth it. It's barely started the radioactives, power is lagging, and metal is, tied for one of the worst 3, along with 7 and 9. Number 3, this is, one of the winners. It's almost tied for the lead in power, and it's deceptive in that the metal, right here, metal is at -2 at 2 minutes, but it's really the last few extractors are about to be built, and this is about to explode on the other side. Number 4, it's a close second in power. I'm second overall, not among those tied for second, but it's pretty up there. Ties for first in metal income, and the rads are coming in. This is a pretty strong opening, but this is it, right? This is peak. This is basically what scenario 3 is about to turn into, and scenario 3 is a better version of scenario 4. Number 5, kind of an acceptable opening if you didn't know about the rest of these. It's a relatively strong radioactive start. Then number 6, probably the strongest radioactive start. It achieves the greatest power, though, accounting for some error. If you look at this, 5.4 versus 5.2, pretty close. Maybe if I did a couple things different, depending on what hiccups happened, pretty close. So power's tying for first. And then the metal's about to rocket, and the rads are about to come in. So it's, it's one of the best openers. This one, scenario 6 and scenario 3. Scenario 7, weak. Under experimental constraints, you simply can't break for radioactives on income because I'm only expanding to the first power point for 2 minutes, so it's just not going to happen. 2 available to me, that's all that's going to happen. So this really, what this means is when you go too hard into radioactive, at least for this experiment, and maybe for a regular opener in general, if you go too hard into radioactives, your metals just lags too hard, unacceptably, your power really falls behind, and it doesn't make it worth it to really try it for longer. It's just not working. Number 8 is tied for the highest metal, but it's lagging in power. Next. Number 9, even worse than number 7, the worst metal income at all. Don't do this. It maxes out rad, it's got the worst metal, and it's, you know, I guess around 3rd place for power. It gets you rad, and you might think it's working, but it's just, you're crippled for far too long. Alright, that's it. Stay tuned for the rest of the footage where you watch me play all these scenarios. Thanks. Just this first one. Start by building all the metal extractors with your first droid. Go to the second one, queue them all up. The second droid's supposed to make a factory. And we're just taking all these until 2 captures or 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Took them all to 2 minutes. Alright, build a factory. By the time the central ones are done, first send them off to cap the first group, then the second point. Alright, done. So 2 minutes. We got 470 power and plus 6 metal, that's it. Next one, we start with the factory, then queue up the center. Alright. Get your barracks and second droid go into the first metal. Send your guys up to the second cap, the rad. I had that engineer idle for a second, but it's hopefully not going to be the biggest deal to skew my results. Alright, so just over 400 power, negative 11 metal, plus 1 rad. Metals are not completely built. Alright, so this one was interesting. First build the metal extractor, then the factory, then the rest of the metal extractors. And the second droid builds his own metal extractor there in the center, then goes off to take the metals at the second cap, or the first capture point. Perfectly timed, the factory's just starting to pump out units. Send them up to the second location. Send the droid up to the rads. It's already safe. $518 metal, -2, +2. But that metal's about to come in. It's looking good. Alright, here we use the metal to capture the point at the same time. So we're building a factory and capturing the metal point. Second drone does all the central metal, then heads up for the rads. The factory immediately sends units up to capture the rad point. Bam, 470 power, +7, +1.
Not enough metal.
Alright, this one uses the factory to capture the rads. So first drone builds capturing, captures the rad point. Second drone builds the central metal, and then everybody's ending up down at the lower metals. Of course, the units are immediately going down to capture that empty point. Kind of metal locked. Oh yeah, these guys are off a little bit. The unit control isn't the best in this game, so you gotta really tell these guys to capture that point. Hadn't even captured the second point. We're at just over 340 in power, -1 plus 4. We're really behind on metal. Alright, so go down, capture the point, and build metal at the same time. Second droid builds factory at the home base, then follows up with the central metals. Send the units directly up to the rads, and then probably take that first drone. Yeah, he's about done with the metal. Send him up to the rads to build. Alright, 540 power, +1, +1. And we're about to get the rest of the rads. Alright, basically we're in reverse. We're just opening to capture the rad point and build an extractor at the same time. Second droid just built a factory. And then follows up with the central metal extractors. First droid from the rads up north comes down to build out the metals. Alright, 290 power, -10 plus 4. Really not a strong opening. Okay. Go down here to capture metal and the point. Second droid builds a central metal. And I don't know if this is the best idea, but basically I bring the droid back to the center to try and reduce some of the travel time on the units, but it also loses droid build time, so better or worse, I don't know. Temporarily put both droids on the factory. As soon as it's built, queue up the dudes, and send units up top to build up the rad. But we didn't even make it. 340 power, +7, +0. Alright, so now we're double capping rads. And this new guy goes central metal. That was kind of the problem last time, right? Kind of hamstrung by the metal, so now we got the rad guy. As soon as we finished came back to build the factory before the center's even done. Should be a bit stronger than the last offer. And then because just how it works out, you can have the droids kind of split up the second one. Each of them building half the metal, so we'll see if that makes a difference by the end here. But hey, 2 minutes in, we have one build, the other two not even quite. 340 power, -14 and +4. That's pretty rough.